From News Chopper 11, hovering just outside the Crab Nebula, it's nerd news from Asteroid G. You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Josh Schaefer.
We are here at the news desk discussing nerd news. We have actually a few different tidbits to go over, even though we just did a nerd news a couple or so weeks ago. But, you know, in the world of news, news never stops newsing. So, that's a saying, isn't it?
It is now.
Okay, so there we go. That is the new Asteroid G subtitle. In the world of news, news never stops newsing. Right here at Asteroid News. So...
Trademarked. No one can take it now.
That's ours, no one else can have that. So, having gotten the funny bit out of the way, we have a few different, actually serious topics to discuss, and I think, honestly, the one I'd like to tackle first is, sadly, Dave Chapelle. So, yeah, he's apparently a TERF.
Yeah, and I'm honestly a little conflicted about this one,
Okay.
just because I don't know if... As I watched the special, because I like Dave Chapelle, and I think he gets a lot of heat from the LGBTQ plus community every once in a while, like with his alphabet joke from his last special. Like, I was like, I didn't really think that was that offensive. Like, it's clear he's trying to struggle with his own issues with it, which is fine, and he's talking about, which is what comedy is. And then in the last special, and he's like, yeah, I'm pro-TERF, I'm a TERF. But then he says things that counter or contradict what being a TERF means, but then he's like doubles down on it again, and then he talks about his trans friend, which seems like it's the same thing that like racists do. It's like, well, I can't be racist because I have a black friend, and then so it just gets like a whole other type of weird, and then he misgenders her in the same breath, and then like... So I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's just like poorly educated on trans rights, because it doesn't seem like he really cares. He thinks it's weird, but ultimately it's up to them. But at the same time, he's being kind of derogatory towards them. So I don't know.
So here's the thing. Okay, I'm 40. I know you're getting up there yourself, Josh. We aren't the teenagers we used to be. And so I think to not to defend him, but to explain, I think, his mind view, I think it is easy to get trapped in the opinions you've had of a previous generation that you belonged to. And he's 48. So he's definitely Gen X with very mid-range Gen X opinions. And despite the fact that, you know, gay rights and trans rights, these are things that have been going on for literal centuries, even if, you know, certain media tries to bury it and act like, oh, and only in the last 10 years have people even worried about this. That's not really the case. I mean, you can go back to World War II and trans people were being hunted by the Nazis, and go back further. I mean, the Native Americans, when the Europeans showed up, the Native Americans of certain tribes just naturally considered three genders, with one of them being a fluid person that had aspects of both. So, like,
Indian, not like Native American, but like Indian, East Indian people did too.
See, so it's this culture war that, like, the right likes to say, oh, they're at culture war with us because they just don't like our opinions. But it's kind of feels like, really go look at the historical look of it over several centuries, it's in the opposite direction.
Right.
So you get someone like Dave Chapelle, who grew up in a specific generation that, because of the way things were reported, didn't understand the things that he's trying to grapple with now. And it's hard for someone of that particular decade, that particular generation, to not sound like a dick when they're talking about things they're grappling with. And his opinions...
Especially when he's trying to make it funny at the same time, because that's his job.
Yeah, like, I think if he was on Crossfire or something, and he just had time to really talk about his opinions, maybe it would work better. But it's hard to accept what he's saying when he's getting paid $26 million to say it for an hour, and he says it the way that he says it.
Right, exactly.
And whether or not he's trying to come up with an opinion that works for him, a lot of the people that listen to him use what he says as pull quotes and come up with an opinion that supports their very hard right ideals.
Yeah.
So,
And that's where the struggle is, because like I don't agree with what he said or
yeah,
how he said it,
yeah,
but I feel like a lot of it, and I think it's like that on both sides after watching the whole thing. I feel like they're taking parts that they can use against him or for what like anti-trans stuff
yeah,
like out of context,
on both
because
sides.
the whole thing was supposed to be more so like, you know, like he was trying to say like the LGBTQs and the African American community, because he also talked kind of about how sensitive both sides were being, how they just need to, you know, kind of grow from it. But it didn't come across that way. I think that's what he wanted to come across as, but like it just didn't. Like I think he was trying to be profound, but
He came off
didn't
as
come.
dickish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so,
yeah, and
but
I
and like
think
that's dangerous. Like you
yeah,
shouldn't talk about stuff that you don't know about, right? Like,
yeah, I think
but
again, you want to talk about something like that, you need to go and do a sit down interview with someone and share your opinions of it. And once you've done that, stop doing bad hot takes in your comedy.
yeah, 100%.
You said
Like
what you
if you
need to
don't know
say.
about,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No.
yeah, it just like if he did this, like I don't know if you've ever heard of. There's a um Manuel Acho, I think his name is.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have his book that he wrote, I
Okay.
think, somewhere. Yeah, but he wrote a book called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, which is actually a pretty good read if you're interested in that. But he also does a YouTube series with the same name called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Yeah.
And to get to your point about like having a sit down, his second or third episode, he brings Matthew McConaughey down and they have an uncomfortable conversation, like something like that.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend everyone watch it because it's very eye opening. Like even if you think you know a lot of stuff about race relations, but like something like that where Dave Chappelle sat down with a trans person, I think would have been a lot better. Even if you try to put some humor into it,
Yeah.
which is what he does, which is fine.
Well, because then if
But I
he
think it's just
inserted
dangerous.
humor and they're like, that's in poor taste, he could talk to them about why it's in poor taste, why he doesn't see it's in poor taste, what maybe the intent of his joke was, and if nothing else, it would get a voice in the room that says, hey, tweak the joke a little this way and it won't sound so insensitive.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, he like Mel Brooks didn't just make Blazing Saddles, right?
Yeah.
He had Richard Pryor saying, "Oh, you're not going far enough. You need to say this,"
Yeah.
or "Whoa, you maybe need to tone that one down a little bit."
Yeah. But it's this thing. I've gone back, so I've watched a few of his the bits and pieces from his comedy routines, and like the bits and pieces are very funny. I
Yeah.
like some of the stuff that he says. I'm just like, I'm not jonesing on this, and I just click over to something else on YouTube, and that's honestly, I think it's the best way to watch a lot of comedians because sometimes
Yeah.
they'll just bomb even on a good routine. But it's this thing of I've gone back and I've tried to watch some of his stuff from the Chappelle show, and wow, that stuff is just uncomfortable to watch in a way that is like you thought this was funny.
It's a little. I actually rewatched a lot of all of Chappelle's show too,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of it is dated.
Yeah.
Like it's not, and that, which is I think it's a good thing because it's making like just blatant racism a little more uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
I still laugh at some of it, But
it definitely like it strikes a contrast with the clips that I see that come out from like Key and Peele, which
yeah,
don't feel as, I mean, obviously they're like 5-10 years later, but they don't feel as dated, and the way they tackle things like race relations and those topics like shines a harder light, but also shows that they understand the political vibe of what
yeah,
they're saying.
yeah. And
So,
when the Chappelle show came out, that was like during the Bush administration, so I
uh
think you had to kind of go that hard into the paint, as they say,
huh.
with
The way
the
that
Chappelle
does.
show. Like you
It's
couldn't just be like, because Key and Peele has a lot more subtle graces to it, I think,
uh huh.
at times, but like racist zombies, being an obvious allegory, but like Chappelle had to be like in your face with it in, during
It was
the
appropriate for
Obama
the
administration.
time, maybe, but doesn't
Yeah,
play in a different generation.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little it was uncomfortable at times to watch some
Speaking
of the skit.
of uncomfortable to watch, but hilarious in retrospect,
Mm.
the Truth Social, the Donald Trump backed social network that was supposed to be, Twitter without all the damn rules of Twitter, just like Parlay and God, what was it, Gabber or whatever else, all the other
Yeah,
fucking ones that have come.
Parlor.
Yeah, spelled parlor, pronounced parlay.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, it is. For
I did not
whatever
know that.
fucking reason, it's pronounced parlay. So this is the place that Donald Trump decided he needed because he's been banned from Twitter and still temp banned from Facebook and can't get his adoring followers to follow his every waking word. And then it was within a day of going up hacked. Um, and it still has the issue of, is it really going to be successful when either it's going to have to allow everyone to say every damn thing they want, and then it's just going to become a cesspit echo chamber, or they're going to have to put some moderation rules on it, and then it's basically Twitter just without Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they said it's for free speech, but like you can get your account banned if you say anything discriminatory against Trump. Like it's like so you don't have free speech. You have free speech with what they decide is free speech. So
It's the truth, so long as it kisses Trump's ass.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like right off the bat, it's already like, all right, well, so you don't have free speech.
It
Cool.
it absolutely will be an echo chamber because part of what made his time on Twitter the way it was his quote unquote owning of the libs and then the libs showing up and like commenting on it and getting that back and forth between the followers and the anti-followers of his stuff. If you can't say anything disparaging about Trump, then you're not going to get that back and forth that drove the hits, and it's going to be just a true echo chamber at that point.
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah, this scene seems like a failure right there because the ratings are gonna be bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and they also, I don't remember the specifics of it, but they already got in trouble because they pretty much stole an open source, like, they're using an open source code
Yep.
from something, I think it was Mastodon?
I want to call it Mastodon too. I'm not sure that's actually specifically what's called, but it's close enough that
We'll call it Mastodon.
yeah, let's just call it Mastodon.
But they ripped off that program, which was open source, but they didn't,
Do the open source
uh,
part of it.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
like, they already plagiarized something that you can legally plagiarize.
yeah, and they're gonna
Like,
get
who does that?
yeah, they're gonna get sued already over it. The guy who designed it is already talking to lawyers to file suit against it and get the site shut down. Yeah, it's just that's a one of those. It's both petty and just a stupid rookie mistake that you would think they'd be smart enough not to pull, but then he got elected pulling stupid rookie mistakes.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just because his circle is getting smaller and smaller with every passing day.
Yeah,
Because all the, like, it's apparent to me anyway, just, because you and I both watch a lot of news and politics and
yeah,
read about it and whatnot,
yeah.
but, like, I feel like the right knows that he's insane, that he's not a good person, but, like, they know that there's a substantial amount of the population that just wants to hear that Trump was right.
Yeah,
And they'll say that, and they'll do it just to get reelected and get that donor money.
well, and that there are a couple different parts of it. Trump doesn't really like being president, but he likes the ability to one avoid being prosecuted for anything he's done in his past, which I think
Yeah.
is literally him trying to run out the clock and die in office if he can get away with it. Um, but he also loves the adoration. So all he wants to do is go do the things that are public facing about president and have other people do all the actual politicking. Um, and the Republican Party is perfectly okay with accepting that because as long as he's in power, they get to do whatever they want, which is barely anything and keep taxes away from rich people. That's the
Yeah.
entire Republican platform. Uh, but at the same time, his followers don't like. He says just the right things to get them amped, and they will literally dismiss anything else that doesn't align with that worldview. So it's like, no matter whether or not he actually is senile and crazy, they don't care because it doesn't fit their story.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like we get a Democratic candidate run who's an absolute asshole. I know I won't vote for them. I know you won't vote for them.
No.
Yeah,
Like I personally didn't like Joe Biden, and I felt like the only reason I was voting for Joe Biden was because I didn't want Trump to win.
yeah. I mean, I don't mind Joe Biden. I don't, and I actually didn't hate Hillary either. But there were candidates I would have much rather had in for Democrat, whether or not
Yeah,
they were as electable.
exactly.
Yeah. So,
Mm, Trump.
but we'll actually evaluate our candidates, and I feel like for a sizable portion of the Republican Party, not all of it, not all of it,
No,
but 40% at least of the country doesn't care what Trump says so long as he continues being Trump.
exactly.
Yeah. Oof. Also,
Oof.
for people that don't care what a company does or says or whatever, so long as they keep being themselves, Blizzard Activision.
Oof.
I so they had that sexual harassment thing. I think we actually covered that on previous Nerd News.
Yeah, we
And it
did.
looked like they were going to get at least like fined a lot of money, which doesn't really matter to them because they have billions. And it might have forced them to like rethink some of their positions and make the company better for the people working within it. But apparently, the people in charge of the California case fucked up their case so badly that more than likely the entirety of the case is going to get thrown out because all of the evidence is quote unquote taken are fruit of the tainted tree.
Yep.
So you got to sit there going, you had an open and shut case and you fucked it up, and Blizzard is going to walk away scot free, and nothing is going to change at that company. Which I feel bad for the people working at the company, but if you go and talk to a lot of the fans of the Blizzard, they didn't care that anything was going on with Blizzard. They just dismissed it all and wanted to hear about when the next Call of Duty or whatever the fuck it is was coming out.
Yeah. Like like Josette and I were really big fans of the Overwatch series,
Uh huh.
and we played it every once in a while.
Uh-huh. You played it religiously when it
But
first came out.
oh yeah, and we played it every so often, but it got kind of stale because they never did any updates anymore,
Yeah.
and we switched to Apex.
Yeah.
But it was just like we had a bunch of like pop figures and like merchandise and stuff, and it just
Yeah.
felt like we got rid of all of it. Like we just I don't even think we donated. I think we just trashed it because
Wow.
like we just felt gross
Dirty.
owning that
Yeah.
stuff.
Which, and
And
I know
yeah,
you from experience. It like you aren't the kind of person to vote with your dollars, so that's a big deal that you did that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think like I'm changing a little bit with that as time goes on. Like it's and I think it's because like when I did feel that way, I didn't have a lot of dollars,
Okay.
so I was like,
Didn't
well,
want people
I
telling
don't
you what
have
to
to
do
worry
with
about
them.
it. Yeah, but now it's like I don't have a lot of dollars still, but like I have a lot more than I did. But like it's a I don't know, like I know like it doesn't make much of a difference, but
Makes a difference to you.
yeah, exactly.
Keeps the taint off.
So,
I was looking forward to Diablo 2, the remastered or reforged or redeviled or whatever the hell they're going to call it. You know, sprinkle a little paprika on top. Because it looked
can't
like,
did it.
the game was going to be really good, but I can't buy it now because I can't support Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like kind of along the same vein, I know this isn't Blizzard, but it kind of aligns with nerd news, but I love the John Wick franchise,
Oh, God, yeah, that's another one.
and they just announced that Mel Gibson's going to be in the Continental series,
Uh-huh.
which like I'm like, well, guess I'm not watching that now.
Yeah, I think my plan for that, oh, God, it's hard. Um, so like I would just wait until it's canceled after it's aired, however many seasons it's aired, and then go watch it all at once on a subscription I'm already paying for. So like they don't get extra money and extra ratings out of me. But the problem is Mel Gibson will still get paid for likeness rights every time I watch an episode.
Yeah, I think I'm just if as much because I love Ian McShane
Yeah.
and he's in it,
Yeah.
but the fact that wasn't on Stars.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they are putting Mel Gibson into a TV show
Yeah.
is just mind-boggling to because like, and this just proves that everyone's like, oh, the cancel culture is too much right now. Like clearly it's not because he said some awful things, and like if anyone needs to be canceled for what they said, it's Mel Gibson for saying what he said. And he doesn't like apologize. He just keeps doubling down on stupid, ignorant stuff. But like, if Roseanne Barr can't have a show, like Mel Gibson definitely shouldn't have a show, right?
Yeah, right? And yet, I mean, so it was like Mel Gibson has somehow been redeemed, quote unquote, in the eyes of Hollywood, which are awful to me. But like his fucking 2017 Hacksaw Ridge was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director. Like you're sitting there going, guys, it's Mel Gibson. One, why did a studio give Mel Gibson hold on, $40 million to make a movie? Yes, it made $180 million. Yes, people went and saw it. Maybe they didn't even realize Mel Gibson directed it. But
yeah, I went to see because I thought it was a cool World War II movie, and it did not deserve any of the accolades because it was boring and kind of dumb.
well, that's Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
But I just, yeah, it pains me that he's rebuilding his career, and it pains me even more that he's going to be in a John Wick related TV series, because I will cover the shit out of John Wick for everything, but I can't cover this if Mel Gibson is. I just can't in good conscience. The best I could say is I wait until it's canceled, and I would absolutely never do this. I would never pirate anything at all. But go and find some way to watch it for free.
yeah,
Where he doesn't get paid for it in the process.
Well, and it's just mind blowing too because Keanu Reeves is just like all around the nicest human on the planet right now. I'm pretty sure. Like if he comes out tomorrow and is like, I was Jesus Christ the entire time, I would just be like, oh, that checks. That makes sense. Welcome back, my lord. I guess
I would accept that Jesus Christ was a Buddhist. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, cool, right on. But like, but just to do like the complete opposite side of the coin and do Mel Gibson, like I'm hoping that because there's a huge backlash online right now over that, and I'm hoping that Stars is like, oh, wait a second, maybe they have a point.
Yeah, well, I think,
doubt it.
I think what it is that Mel Gibson made Hacksaw Ridge for Lionsgate, and the John Wick series is owned by Lionsgate. So I would bet you money they pressured the production team to put Mel Gibson in this so they'd have a name draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with
you.
It's mind-boggling.
How many other actors they could have put in aside from Mel Gibson, though?
Yeah, you have to think there had to have been anyone better, but they did that. Besides which, what exactly story is it going to be? Because it's not like you'd think if it's a prequel about assassins on the development of like the Continental Hotel, they'd want someone that was younger for the lead role.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want a John Wick TV series that focuses on Lance Reddick's character, because that would be amazing.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite. Like, I really hate saying that he's like a C-list actor because he deserves an A-level status, but I've loved that dude.
He's
everything he's ever
it's
been.
that guy who shows up in everything, except for the fact that I actually generally know his name. I actually knew his name before I had to go search for it on Google, but I kept thinking it was someone else who was named Lance Reddick. So,
you were thinking of Riddick, the movie series.
No, it's fine. It's whatever. But yeah, like this idea just boggles my. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hollywood,
and it's going to bite them in. It's going to bite them in, or them being Lionsgate, I guess, in the butt when he says something stupid on camera because he's racist and anti-Semitic. Like,
I mean, he is the definition of a Mel Gibson. So
yeah.
Speaking of actors who really are awful on set, and this is not to make this is a terrible segue, but I don't have a better one for it. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah,
Which I like. This
that's
news story is sad, and I feel really bad about that. So that segue is awful, and please don't hold it against me. But on the set of filming his next movie, Rust, which I think is supposed to be a
it's a
western,
western.
yeah,
Yep.
a prop gun he fired, actually went off, and it shot the cinematographer Holliana Hutchins. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And injured the director as well, Joel Souza. And it makes the question of why are prop guns so dangerous still? Back in the 80s, I owned a cap gun that didn't fire anything, but just made a cool popping noise that you could just layer a bullet thing over, and you teach the actors to like recoil their hand a little by working with an action specialist for a couple weeks. Like, why are we still in a day where you can use actual guns that fire blanks that aren't always blanks and kill someone on a movie set?
So I think a if you use a real gun in a movie, it's still a prop.
Yeah,
So
it is.
so
I know. I get like a prop gun is just a gun that we're calling a prop. Uh,
yeah,
but it still fires. But to fire it, it fires blanks. But it doesn't always work that the blanks are actually blanks.
yeah. And like I'm not a big gun nut or
Yeah.
anything. Like if you want to own a gun, that's cool.
Uh huh.
Whatever. I don't really care as long as you treat them like they're guns, like they make me uncomfortable when other people have them if I'm holding it and it doesn't because I know that I'm not an idiot, right?
Yeah.
But they still make me uneasy if I see just random, neckbeards and, walking around with AK-47s or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
like from what I understand with this, the woman, and I can't remember her name, who
Hutchinson
was
or Hutchins.
the
Oh, the prop
not
master.
the prop master.
Okay.
I think her name was Hannah. I don't
Okay.
remember, but I'm gonna call her Hannah though, just because I feel like that was her name.
All right.
But
Let's go with it.
um,
Fucking Hannah's.
but from what I understand, she went to like a shooting range and shot live rounds with the gun. Didn't clear it. They needed the gun for a scene of some sort, so she grabbed the gun, said it was a cold gun, meaning there was no ammunition in it. She gave it to somebody else who gave it to Alec Baldwin. In that chain, and this is just me being paranoid because everyone knows what happened to Brandon Lee.
Yes.
But I feel like it's definitely the prop master's fault, but the fact that it changed hands so many times and no one decided to check whether or not there was live ammunition in it. I don't know if Baldwin, if he did check it, if he would even know if it was loaded. Like, because I know what a bullet looks like, but if you give me 5 bullets and one of them is a fake bullet, I bet you anything I would not be able to figure out which one's real and which one's not.
Yeah.
So like even if he did like the typical safety you do with firearms, yeah, and then like a lot of people are saying, well, he shouldn't have pointed it at anybody. Well, if he was filming something, and I'm assuming just being on film sets that used prop guns, like I'm assuming they were doing a shot where he was shooting at the camera.
Yep.
Like obviously, since the director and the cinematographer got shot, I assume that's what was happening.
Yep.
Like, yeah, like that's what's gonna happen. And
So
yeah, just
there are
yeah,
some things to think about with that. One, I decided to look it up because I'm not a gun person either, but I decided to look at what a blank looks like in comparison to a regular bullet. And it's still all the gunpowder in a cartridge. It just doesn't have the actual bullet bit in there, whatever the hell that's
yeah,
called. So if you don't know any better and you're just an actor and you actually look at the clip, you're not gonna, or whatever the hell was loaded to, if it's a western, like an actual western, then it was a 6 shooter. But if you're looking at it and you just see the cartridges sitting in there, you might not think anything better especially if you're not a gun person.
yeah.
Um,
I wouldn't have. Like, I honestly like I'm not a gun person, but I've shot a gun before. That doesn't make me an expert by any means, but
yeah,
if I saw that, I'd be like, well, the prop master cleared it and said
yep,
that it was a cold gun, so
yeah. I mean, I don't even know how cartridges or clips are actually set up, so I wouldn't know. like what the difference is when a blank gun is loaded, how it looks different from a non-blank gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
And in the heat of the moment, when you're on set and you're talking about Alec Baldwin, who was a producer on the movie, as well as the lead actor, who's also trying to stay in character and think about what's going on as the character, you might just not even think about it when you see the gun. That's not
yeah,
purely a defense of Alec Baldwin, and in fairness, Alec Baldwin can be a giant dick at times.
100%. Yeah.
Yes. So all
No,
of
I don't
that
think
needs to be
you would
taken
argue
into
that,
account. But it's also
but
it's I come back to, why are we using this kind of gun? One, if you know it's going to be a gun used as a prop, and thus a prop gun, never ever put real bullets in the damn thing, okay?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%. The prop master should never have played around with it like that. Like,
yeah,
if you wanted to shoot guns, go shoot your own guns. Like, don't
yeah,
use a prop gun.
yeah.
Like that doesn't.
Like, at the very least, if you're gonna, if you know that you need to test it to make sure that it works, only ever put blanks in there so you can make sure that it's firing the blanks properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it
Um.
just it doesn't make sense, and to not have the foresight
Yeah.
or just like general gun knowledge of this gun that I was shooting real bullets with. I should probably just double check to make sure, since I assume it was a six shooter.
Yeah.
So like it takes 2 seconds to just to look and be like, oh, there's bullets in here still. Maybe
Yeah.
I should take them out.
The person who handles the props and all the prop people they have should be able to look at a gun and be like, this is not a blank. I know what
Yeah,
bullets look like. Um, but there is a little, even just a little bit, if we excuse a lot of it, there's still a little bit of blame on Alec Baldwin. And this comes from
yeah,
stories that I've heard from other actors, specifically like Will Smith reportedly before. Someone had a prop gun that they aimed in his direction, and he immediately took it away from them and aimed it elsewhere. Because, like, if nothing else, you've heard stories of Brandon Lee. You know what these things can do. Even a blank can still misfire and shoot off, like, particles. So,
yeah,
like, as an actor, if you're going to be firing at a camera, you make sure that everyone who just needs to monitor that camera is off away from behind the camera, looking at it through a different monitor. That way, if the
yeah.
gun goes off and does carry a particle, whether or not it's an actual bullet, you're not shooting at someone.
Right. Like, and I'm not a big fan of the NRA, as you know,
Uh-huh.
but I do know that they have like 5 rules to gun ownership,
Yeah.
and one of them is assume every gun is loaded because it can kill someone.
Yeah. Like, the point of a gun is to kill someone. Yes, you're using it in a movie, it's not supposed to do that. But not supposed to and won't are two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. The
Okay, that
whole
was our
story is
soapbox
so
right there.
sad.
Shit. Let's.
Well, I mean, like, it's not like our country already has weird laws with guns, or like it's a political issue regardless.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I don't think it should be a political issue because it's a non-political thing,
Yeah.
unless you want to talk about unions, I guess.
Whether you're on the right or the left, everyone who didn't make sure that gun was handled safely is at fault, at least a little.
100%, yeah.
So, and yeah, I don't blame the director or the cinematographer at all in this particular instance. Alec Baldwin was the one that held the gun, even if he's not legally held responsible, although I'm sure his production company is going to get sued to high heaven over it. He's at fault for firing the damn thing, at least a little.
No, I mean, like, there's pictures where he looks
Yeah, oh no,
really
I'm sure
wrecked
he's
over it.
devastated by it, and I like, his guilt is genuine, but he fired it, and he didn't clear people away from where he was firing.
100. Yeah, he owns it's partially his fault too. Like,
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay, let's try and get to something happier now that we've covered all the awful news that we could talk about that is awful. So again, bad segue. I have no good segue for this. Back for Blood. This just came out recently within the last couple weeks. I know a lot of people have been playing it. I just played it yesterday. I think the game is fantastic. It's Left 4 Dead. The people who made it don't lie about the fact that they wanted to make another Left 4 Dead, and Valve wouldn't let them, so they went off and made their own company and changed everything just enough that they couldn't get sued. But it is, in effect, Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah,
So
it looks really cool.
It has some tweaks that I like. So I got in there, and basically, like, if you know Left 4 Dead, you're gonna know most of what this game does. There are a couple more different types of guns that you can pick up. There are slightly different zombies. They have like an exploder instead of a what is it? The goo-filled one, whatever they're called in the original. They have a long boy that has a giant arm instead of like a smoker. But otherwise, like, it's the same fucking zombies, just not called zombies. They're now the Ridden. But the key gameplay difference is there are cards you collect that you can buy with the points you earn in game. I don't even know if there's an actual online marketplace otherwise. So there's no. I'm not sure there's a pay to win, but there probably is a pay to win. But you get your points in game, and then you use that to spend on decks that you can build out of game to then use in your next set of missions. But the cards that you get, you pull one at the start of each mini mission, and across an act of the campaign, there are a bunch of mini missions that all build together, and the cards stack and carry over, and the guns you get can be upgraded, and those upgrades stack and carry over through the whole act. So there's this like playing a long campaign, there's just this continuity of your character that makes them really powerful by the end of the act and makes it interesting to play. And I think that's a good evolution of the Left 4 Dead formula that I kind of wish Left 4 Dead now had.
Yeah. Yeah. that sounds kind of cool. I'm going to pick it up eventually, but I would
like to see you pick it up sooner than later. So I can play it with you. Just probably don't pick it up on PS4 or 5, because that's the one that I don't think is crossplay. Everything else is crossplay. The guys I was playing with yesterday were on Steam and Windows Game Pass, and I was on Xbox Game Pass, and the four of us were all playing across those three systems together, and it was great.
Yeah.
So definitely, I want to play it with you so that we can talk about it more in detail and do a Left 4 Dead podcast. But yeah, get it on one of those things so I can play with you.
Yeah, well, I just got a PS5, and I believe it is on the PS5. So
if it's cross-play, then I'll play it with you on that. But I don't have a PS5, so
I think it is. It is cross-play.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think so, because I would assume because it connects into their network, and all their network stuff is tied to the specific account you make for Back 4 Blood. I just know how Sony is with cross-play.
Yeah, let's see. You have it on PC?
I have it on Xbox Live.
Oh, Xbox.
But that ties into the PC version, so if the PS5 can tie into the PCs, I'm sure it'll tie to the Xbox Live.
Yeah, it does PC, PlayStation, Xbox with no restrictions.
Nice! Cool, then let's play soon.
Yeah, I'll have to pick it up if it's at the store when we go.
Oh, I just bought it.
Which I'm sure it will.
I mean, I bought it. I didn't even buy it digitally. I picked it up through Game Pass because it was free on Game Pass.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Game Pass is only $1 right now, dude. Not that I'm hawking for Microsoft. Honestly, generally, I would never have picked up Game Pass, but I picked up Game Pass.
Nice.
Yeah, so, anyway. Let's, before I start shilling for the company even more, let's try and wrap this one up. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G Nerd News. I am Mike Finkelstein.
Josh Schaefer.
And we will see you next time.